Thank you, folks. Hope you're catching your breath. This is a film that requires a conversation, would you agree? And we are honored to have here the director of the film, Gidi Dar.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry you had to go through this. It's like, once again.
Gidi, I think we should show this again on Tisha B'Av. What do you think, folks? Should we? We're ready for that? You had a few words you wanted to say before we dove in.
I just want to make some thank yous to Maimonides Fund and Gesher Avichai, who some of them are here, for supporting the film for all those years it took to do it. And to my wife over here, Moraya, which she suffered more than all of us for the movie and pushed me. And when I was down, she put me together. And I was high. She let me be a bit high, and then she whispered in my ear, "Memento mori." You know, like they did to Caesar, so I won't get too high. So please applaud her because I owe you everything.
There's a lot to discuss here, and I want to give time also for questions from the audience too. I want to start, before we get into the real meat, I want to just start about the production side of it. This is a beautiful film. Artistically, cinematic, language-wise, this is a film like, you know, the story was told with stills, and yet it felt so alive. Tell us a little bit about how you decided to make it that way.
Well, it was, you know, there was no way to produce it like live action. You know, I don't think even Spielberg can do that, and definitely not me in Israel. And it started actually as a kind of documentary. And there was nothing to film also, you know, because Jerusalem does not exist, besides some stones. You know, not even maybe the Wailing Wall is not even debatable. And so we started doing, I said, we'll do some still paintings for it. That's the way we do it. And I asked David Polonsky, one of the two artists, they're both great masters, and if they want to join me, and they said yes. And we started with some tests. And we kept on going, and we did like 10 minutes, and it worked fantastic, and sketches. And more I understood I don't want to have any interviewees in there. I don't want anybody involved, just because I'm a fiction guy, basically. And we just decided to continue. And so we went to Maimonides, and we went to the other film fund, and said, listen, we're moving it from a documentary to a feature. And they supported us, and the budget became much bigger. And I got to admit that for years, I was very, very worried that it's not going to work. There was a reason nobody ever did it before, and still am worried every screening. I don't know. You tell me if it's worked for you. I mean, I'm actually very interested. I'm very interested in an American audience, which animation is something very specific, and if it's working, cinematically, if it's.
Oscar Isaac says in a little trailer that he made for the film that, after a moment you forget that you're watching stills, and I think that's very true. How many stills are there? How many paintings?
Around 1,500.
And each one is a masterpiece, honestly.
Yeah, these guys are beautiful. Like, they're two geniuses. They're unbelievable. And they work with each other. They work on each other's work. One of them making the frame, the other one is a different frame. Then they replace places, no egos, no nothing, and they're really amazing. I wouldn't be able to do this movie without these specific two guys.
So let's talk about the research a little bit. Mm-hmm. I mean, the amount of research, both visually and story-wise, content-wise. How did you do that? What kind of research did you do to bring this to life?
Well, it was an ongoing process. It never stopped. Because the process of one last thing which connected to the style of the film and the research is that you can't even write a regular script or something like that. It's not like, the process was not, you write a script and then you go and do it. I write a script, then we go and do it, and then we have to change everything, and then we go back, and then we go back, and we go back, and back and forth all the time with the sketches, so, and there I also change, the research, or the learning of it. I understand more, and then so I change it again. We kept on doing it, and that's the problem of this kind of animation. They can keep on going forever, So my wife used to shout at me once in a while, "You got to finish this film." It was. I thought it was going to take a year and a half. It took 7. So, but I had some teachers, some great teachers, and something interesting, I think, was that I started with the historical perspective. There are 2 main sources for this story, and one of them is the most known one is Josephus Flavius, the famous book War of the Jews. He actually was a character in the film. He was a person who existed at the time, and he was a leader, the commander who was, and he belonged to a rich priest family. He was captured by the Romans and betrayed, and became eventually the Titus advisor for the Jews. It's like, Israeli chief of staff will go work with Hezbollah against us. But then he ended up being adopted by them and changed his name from Yosef ben Matityahu to Josephus Flavius. And he wrote for them the book, War of the Jews, which is very accurate historically and technically. But the more I got into it, I understood how biased it is. Because he's right. It's like, I thought to myself, had I wanted to do a movie about World War II, which nobody would have known anything about it, I would not want to use Hitler's biographer as my main source, okay? Even if it would have been Jews. And then I got more and more into the Talmud, which is the second source. The legend in the Talmud, it's a book of halachas, religious laws, legal laws, and legendary, which are very, very smart legends of the sages. And in this huge corpus of legends, there is like hundreds of legends of destruction. And they don't insist on the facts, but they insist on the reasons behind the facts, which is much more important. Because, I'm always speaking about facts are not that important. Because if you read today, or you look at the TV, Fox News versus CNN, New York Times versus I don't know what, the right wing, it's the same facts, 2 different stories today. So triple it in 2,000 years, and that's what you get. So, but the sages were very interested in why did this happen, and they say that the reasons were spiritual and social economical. Corruption of government. And that was the main reason for everything. And it was very hard for me to accept at the beginning. But, the process started in 2013, where this story seemed more like what happened in our Arab neighbors, like Syria, which what is known as the Arab Winter. Those dreadful events that happened is very much alike. But the more we went through the years, Israel became much more like that, and the division in Israel, and the political crisis in Israel, and the social ruptures, and the corruption, and then suddenly you begin to see how this works in your own country, and actually when the film was released, it became worse, much worse, and unfortunately, the film became more and more realistic as we go.
I noticed one specific call out that you make mention that the leader, the queen, runs away to Caesarea specifically. Is that a specific reference to?
No, she was in Caesarea. That's a true story. I didn't mean anything at the beginning. I just wanted to do a movie about what happened 2,000 years ago when it was released. Everybody saw it in Israel as talking about today, and they thought that I meant it, and I actually didn't mean it. I just meant to do, because what's so interesting about it is, about the situation that you understand that your own culture, in this case, the Talmud, which something in Israel we're not very connected to, the seculars, I'm talking, is actually something which is super relevant, both artistically and culturally, but also politically. And I kind of think that those sages, Chazal, were telling us stories from 2,000 years ago, and they're actually giving us a warning. They say, look at us. Look at what happened to us. And they're very critical about themselves. Like you saw Ben Zakkai saying, eventually saying he was right, Ben Batich, what he said to me, because one of the most famous legends, Kamsa and Bar Kamsa, what they criticize themselves is the sages for being silent. And they're telling us, you got to learn from this. Otherwise, it's definitely going to happen to you. And we see it right now in Israel, and the divisions are coming back. So and that's the most... And the internal divisions, I assume it also can relate to America, but I can definitely say it about Israel. Internal division can be extremely dangerous when it goes too far, and it can easily spin out of control. And once this happens, there is no way to stop it. And in this case, I dare say that October 7th, in a way, gave us a chance to save ourselves from ourselves, as terrible as it sounds. Now, it's a chance. We have to take this chance. And I'm not sure we're taking it.
I'm going to ask 3 more questions, then we'll open it to the audience. It's fascinating to me that that I think everybody in this movie thinks that they're good, that they're pious. And I found that nobody's good in this. There's no one...
Everybody are good and bad. Everybody are human.
And everybody thinks that the other side is wrong, which is just like the nature of conflict to begin with, right?
I had one day I was talking to Shuli Rand, my co-writer in the Hebrew version, the lead role.
Shuli Rand's the star of Ushpizin, for those of you who saw it. He's ultra-Orthodox.
Suddenly I get a call with an unidentified number. And so I tell him, hold on 1 second, I'm going to take probably, tax office or something.
Never answer those. Never answer.
Yeah. So they tell so I say, who is it? So they say, it's a Prime Minister's office. Naftali Bennett wants to speak to you. And he saw the movie, and we had a very long, half-an-hour call. And one of the things that he told me, he said, what I liked most about the films is that everybody were right. And I see it every day. And everybody got their own reason. But nobody was willing to compromise. And I said to him, they're all right all the way to hell. And that's a problem because, we can see today the crisis of democracies in the world, not just Israel, is, identity politics, that politics is based, democracy is based on us willing to compromise, and not stand for your opinion all the way, because he also can stand all the way, and then you're done, the other side. And that's something that is going away. You talked about nuance when you started, and that's this nuance of understanding that he also has reason, and he understands you also have reason, and we got to work together. And what breaks first is the center. And the center is gone. Once the center is gone, then we're gone.
So speaking of which, I'm glad Bennett liked it. I guess we agreed on something.
No, Bennett is a very surprising guy. I got to admit, he, as an extreme right wing at his past, he made a government with the Arabs. You got to give it to him.
The good old days.
Nobody else did it.
But what have been the reactions in Israel? I'm sure everybody takes this film very much to heart, and very much everybody's an expert in Israel. So
not about this subject, by the way.
No, that's
not about this subject.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true. Once I think it was who was I think Shkol, I think it was the prime minister, was the president of America, and he told me, you're just 3 million. He said, and we're 300 million. I said, yeah, but I got 3 million prime ministers.
So what have the reactions been? How has this impacted the country?
I think it was seen as a warning light for Israel, for the Israelis, for the Israelity, I don't know if I'm saying correctly, and as a kind of prophetic film, and people got very scared by the movie, and again they saw themselves in the movie, and the interesting thing is that the religious they grow up on those legends, so they know it. But they were even more excited by it, and they never saw it all together. They just saw it as broken pieces, broken stories. Like it's very short legends. But suddenly they see this snowball or ball of fire, running from the top to the end into utter destruction. It really shook them very hard and worried them, and the seculars, they are very unaware to this story. They don't know the details at all, and they were shocked how much they don't know it and how similar it is for what they're experiencing. So, and it created a dialogue, also on the political level. It influenced very much the political arena, but. At the end of the day, it's a movie. There's a limit to what you can do. You can see that everybody stayed right. Nobody, everybody were willing to compromise on the other side's opinion. But not on their own eventually. So, and I really hope it's going to change.
So here's my final question before we open it to questions from the audience. Well, first I have to say that one of the things that struck me just today, the Romans attack the north. The Galilee's on fire. Today, the north of Israel is on fire.
Yeah.
And this is something that just, there's so much in every moment here that really feels very much of today. You now made this and we decided to show here the English version, which has Oscar Isaacs. It's fantastic. I saw him in Star Wars. He wasn't that great. Here he's fantastic. He's
I'll tell
in
him
the
that
character.
you said that.
Ben Battich, I assume.
Yeah, he's Ben Battich, yes.
And Elliot Gould as Ben Zakkai. Elliot Gould, who has become a caricature a little bit in his old age, usually plays the Jewish uncle, grandfather. Here, really managed to get out of his Brooklyn shell and create a real.
It's funny. Why was with me when we recorded him, and I was a bit worried. I wasn't sure he can do it, and we just had 4 hours. And the moment we opened the microphone, it was like a knife. It was like this. It was unbelievable. He's a great, great, great actor. He's a great actor.
Good directing too. I'll give some credit there, and
yeah, but he was really amazing.
Brings him to life. But my question is, what is the purpose of the American version of this English language?
You guys, what do you mean? You can show it in Hebrew.
Why are Hollywood stars Oscar Isaacs? Why is he making a film about this?
Why is he doing that?
Yeah. He's also executive
producing. Yeah. Well, I hope it's because he liked it. And he loves animation, by the way, and he loves also, how to say it?
It's not animation.
Whatever it is. He likes this. He likes all kinds of styles like that and do voice stuff. And it was in a year of vacation, so it was easy going. They don't have to go for 8 weeks in Alaska to shoot. It's just in a studio near his house, so it's easy. But I think he was interested by the subject very much, and by the technique, by the style of the movie. And he wanted to take part, and I think he also saw that he's a very smart guy, by the way, very intelligent, very educated, and I think he saw the relation of this movie also to the reality right here in America. So I think he felt it's important.
I'd love to see how the American audience takes us in. Let's start with questions. We're going to pass the microphone around. Please try to keep your comments short and your questions really as questions. Thank you.
I just want to say I loved it. I thought it was brilliant.
Thank you.
How many pictures did that take? Like, how many drawings? Is it sort of drawings, a technique, individual drawings?
Yeah,
so
but it's done on a computer.
Oh, I see. So
which is amazing because it looks like an oil painting, right? And they know how to do it. Not many people know how to do it at this level.
So how many stills are there for that?
Around 1,500.
Thank you.
Thank you. Another question.
We have one right here. First of all, thank you for a very original, informative film. And I think you're right that a lot of people don't know this part of Jewish history. I'm wondering why you decided to end the film on such a negative note, and not the fact that Yochanan Ben Zakkai was taken out in a coffin, and that he's the one who's responsible.
Why didn't I end it with Yavne?
For beginning, right, all the synagogues and
I'll answer.
transforming between, sacrifices and prayer.
I'll tell you. It's a very good question. Actually, I was a bit worried because everybody say, why is the end so dark? Give us some hope, something. And I tried. I actually tried. I fought it for a few months. And I even tried to do just titles. What happened after in Yavne when Ben Zakkai went to Yavne after and built what's going to end up to be the Talmud, and the diaspora. Kept the life of that's why he's such an important Jew. But the film told me no. It felt wrong. Felt that the film was end when he gets into the fire. That's it. That's something which is above what you want to think, what you want to do. It's just what the film tells you, and you have to obey. And then I understood. I don't want to end it with any hope. I want to scare you. I want to scare the hell out of you, and to call for an action. I want you to go very troubled out of this film and think this is serious. This is actually going to happen. It's not a legend, even though it's called a legend, or should it have been maybe called tale. But and when I sweeten it a bit in the end, you might not think you should act, and I want you to think that you can act, that you need to, not can, that you must act, and it's a personal thing for each one of us.
We have a question here in the middle. I don't know. Let me get you the microphone if we can. No, just for recording purposes and everything else.
Thank you so much. It's so profound on so many levels. As a Jew, as a student of history,
Thank you.
so many things that were open. What are you doing next?
Comedy.
A comedy.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. I have to rest a bit, We're doing Shuli and I, who's my partner in the Spizin, we're doing another one, which is not a Spizin, but it's a very funny movie. It's not a stupid comedy. And by the way, one of the lead actors of the next movie is here, Malki. Right here. Show yourself. In Israel. But with two American actors. Malki is going to play Israeli, actually, but with Elon Gold playing... it's about Badchans, if you know what it is about, Jewish comedians. How is the film doing economically? Well, we are about to see soon. We'll see. Depends on you if you're going to take us in
your
Instagram
job, exactly.
and all that. And you do the work and spread the rumor on the social networks and by heart, because movies are word to mouth. Just do Legend of Destruction, you're going to get to it. And Instagram and Facebook and everywhere. Yeah, it's important. It's actually important these days.
So I'm going to leave you with three important messages. One is tell all your friends about this. Let everybody know about this film. This film is starting its life here in America, and
this is a world premiere.
International, right? Yeah.
Word. This
world
one is world premiere. This version, the English version, was not seen anywhere besides. You're actually the first audience to see it in the world. Thank you.
The second thing everybody should remember is to tell everyone about the Israel Film Center Festival, which is happening here.
Please do. We need it these days. I got to say, you have a panel Thursday?
Panel Thursday, we're going to be talking about how October 7th impacted the film industry.
So Israeli cinema is in deep trouble right now. I mean, it's actually being banned, silent banning without actually saying it. I'm not talking about this film. I mean, this film too suffered, but I believe we're gonna win it. But to produce a movie now is really, really, really hard. I mean, because we got Israeli cinema and TV got into a level where the whole world is chasing after us and want to invest, and suddenly in one day it's all gone. Not because of the level of the movies, because of the political situation.
And a film like this, you can imagine, is extremely hard to distribute right now when the word Israel is even associated with it. Which was my third thing, is the lessons of this movie are so important. And I think universally, I don't think that this needs to speak just to anyone who's interested in the Second Temple or its reflections in Israel today. I want to give a huge thank you, first of all, to our partners. I want to give a thank you to the Israeli consulate who gave us our wine for the reception before. And for all their support. They're also going to be a part of the conversation on Thursday. Tchelet is here, and I think Yael Shavit is here. And I want to give the biggest thank you to Gidi Dar for bringing his premiere here to the festival.
Thank you very much.